welcome back to Film Recaps. These days I'm able to display you in movement, drama film from 2021, titled Old Henry. Spoilers in advance. Watch out and take care. In 1906 in Oklahoma, Brannigan is making an attempt to get away from three guys carrying sheriff badges. Dugan, Stillwell, and their leader Ketchum. Irrespective of how rapid he runs though, Brannigan is still shot and captured. Ketchum kicks him a couple of instances, inquiring for the place of some other man they have been chasing. However, Brannigan might not confess. This provokes Ketchum into tying Brannigan to a horse and dragging him via the ground till he in the end speaks. The person they may be seeking out has gone east. Then, in place of liberating him, Ketchum kills Brannigan. Meanwhile, vintage Henry McCarty and his teenage son Wyatt are operating on their farm. Henry grew up in NY and traveled all over before settling down as a farmer in Oklahoma. Alas, he lost his wife to tuberculosis, but her brother Al comes regularly to give him a hand and be an uncle to Wyatt. Their lifestyles is peaceful and great. The handiest thing that regularly causes arguments is Wyatt's need to travel and discover ways to shoot a gun. But Henry won't allow him to do both. It is still early in the day after they all of a sudden see a misplaced horse passing by using with a bloodstained saddle and no rider. Whilst Wyatt takes the scared animal to the farm, Henry takes his very own horse and is going to research the location, finally locating a subconscious guy at the floor. His call is Curry and he has been shot on the shoulder, so Henry covers the wound with some mud and a handkerchief. Then he reveals a gun and a satchel full of money, which tells him there may be problem taking place that he doesn't want to be involved in. But he barely takes some steps away earlier than he feels bad for the person, so he comes back, selections up all the things, and after putting off any evidence they have been there, he's taking Curry lower back to the farm with him. Together with Wyatt, they put Curry on a bed and tend his wound. Once nighttime falls, Henry takes the gun and the satchel with the money to cover them in a mystery compartment in his closet, unaware that Wyatt is spying on him through the space beneath the door. The subsequent morning, Henry comes to a decision: the wound won't get higher if they do not dispose of the bullet, so he'll visit town to fetch a physician. However, before leaving, he ties Curry to the bed and leaves the knife he makes use of to cut the rope on the nighttime desk. Once his dad is long past, Wyatt goes to Henry's closet to test out the hidden compartment. After seeing the cash in the satchel, he grabs the gun and takes it outdoor to practice shooting at a bottle, even though it takes him a few tries to hit his target. Returned within the house, Curry is hearing the shots in his sleep and dreams of the night his house become burned and his circle of relatives killed at the same time as the wrongdoer instructed him to preserve his head down. Quickly in a while, Wyatt returns to position the gun again within the closet and takes the risk to open a box Henry has hidden there a long time ago. Interior, he reveals some other gun and a bunch of newspaper clips mentioning numerous crimes. Speak me of Henry, on the manor to Metropolis, he discovers Ketchum and his guys had been following the trail Curry left in the back of. Stillwell is this type of precise tracker that he can tell someone has included Curry's tracks. So now the trio is aware of their victim is operating with someone else. These men pay attention a few noises inside the tall grass and shoot. However, fortuitously Henry is already going for walks away earlier than they discover him. Back at the farm, Wyatt notices one of the ropes around Curry's hands is kinda unfastened, and his different hand has been included with a blanket. While Wyatt gets rid of that blanket, he discovers the rope is long gone. So Curry takes the threat to stop pretending he is asleep and frees himself. Grabbing the knife from the nighttime desk, he jumps on Wyatt and swears he would not like to hurt him. He simply needs his satchel again. At that second, Henry comes lower back and kicks Curry off his son earlier than punching him until he loses attention again. Afterward, they tie Curry to a chair and wake him up. Having determined it's just too risky to visit city for a medical doctor, Henry proceeds to apply a heated knife to take out the bullet from Curry's wound, even as asking a few questions. Wriggling and crying with pain, Curry says he is a lawman and that Henry and Wyatt need to go away before it's too overdue. The bullet is removed, but before Henry can ask some questions, Ketchum and his men appear out of doors the house. Henry goes to grab Curry's gun and smells it has already been shot, so he reloads it. Earlier than going out of doors, Ketchum introduces himself as a sheriff and his partners as his deputies, then explains they are seeking out Curry, who's a risky criminal and a killer pretending to be a sheriff too. Curious approximately Henry, Ketchum starts asking him a few questions on his non-public lifestyles, taking a special hobby when he hears his call is McCarty due to the fact there has been a crook a few years ago with that same last call. Henry tells them he has no family, so it can't be a relative of his, and he hasn't seen everybody becoming Curry's description both. So he dismisses the men. Earlier than leaving, Ketchum reminds them to fasten their doors this night. Then, Henry is going again to the house and slaps Wyatt for having used the gun. Wyatt's simplest wanted to recognize what it feels like due to the fact he's the simplest boy within the region that become never taught to fireplace a weapon. So he had to educate himself. Henry slaps him once more for it. So Wyatt insults him and calls him nugatory, claiming Henry could be left on my own to die because he'll leave the farm as soon as he's capable. Now not trying to consider how tons that hurt, Henry is going to interrogate his prisoner once more. Curry explains he is the actual sheriff and the trio are financial institution robbers that stole the badges from Curry's deputies after killing them. He controlled to recover the money but turned into harm inside the technique, so he handed out and fell from his horse while escaping. Handiest to awaken here at the farm later. Why Ketchum failed to shoot Henry is a thriller to Curry, but he is certain they may be back. In the meantime, Ketchum and his men speak what to do. They don't accept as true with Henry and they surprise why he's assisting a stranger. Possibly he was promised a cut of the cash. Dugan does not understand why they didn't shoot him considering they have been 3-1. So Ketchum explains something bizarre is going on. He would not assume Henry is doing this for the cash, and he didn't precisely hold the gun like a farmer. What they need to do is acquire some records first, so Dugan will maintain an eye on the farm at the same time as Ketchum and Stillwell cross-lease a few guns and pay Al a go-to. Night falls and Henry makes Wyatt cross interior before he finishes his farm chores because it's too risky to stay out this overdue. Later, Henry feeds Curry some soup himself, causing Curry to whinge approximately nevertheless being tied up. To see if he can accept as true with him, Henry asks Curry a few questions about his past. Curry tells him all the humans he had labored and lived with, names that Henry recognizes from his travels. He also apologizes for having jumped on Wyatt, claiming he had been scared and confused whilst he woke up in an unusual location. Henry's face jewelry a bell, but Henry denies having met Curry before as he makes a decision to at the least unfasten one of his arms. Then, Henry leaves his gun on the table and is going to refill his glass. This is a take a look at to look if Curry would grasp it. But he doesn't. As an alternative, Curry keeps to inform Henry tales from his adolescence, including the time he noticed Billy the Kid get shot. It is Billy's voice that Curry heard in his dream in advance. Listening to the memories and seeing Curry now not grasp the gun is subsequently enough for Henry to agree with him. He frees Curry's different hand, offers him returned his gun, and tells him to leave his residence before the criminals come lower back. But they do not get to talk about the matter further because all of a sudden, Dugan begins capturing at them through the window. Curry shoots again and Wyatt comes to see what is occurring, getting a bullet grazing his arm inside the process. Still an ache from his wound, Curry passes out, so Henry grabs his gun as Dugan sneaks underneath the residence, taking pictures through the floor every time Henry movements. Choosing a plan, Henry gives the gun to his son with a few taking pictures guidelines earlier than throwing an ebook on the floor to trick Dugan into taking pictures in that path at the same time as he runs the opposite manner. After grabbing his rifle, Henry goes out of doors and starts taking pictures underneath the residence till Dugan runs out and receives shot inside the leg. Henry jumps on him and tries to make him give up some data. However, given that Dugan refuses to speak, Henry kills him, so as to make the body disappear. He feeds it to the pigs after noticing a gang mark on Dugan's skin. Later on, Henry takes care of Wyatt's wound at the same time as dodging his son's questions on his past. Wyatt feels his father would not respect him, and Henry can't assume to be reputable in return. After checking on Curry, who's dreaming of the fireplace once more, Henry is going outdoor with his rifle and waits for the worst. In the morning, Al is going hen hunting, making it smooth for Ketchum and Stillwell to find him. They want to know more about Henry, but Al refuses to answer their questions, and as soon as he attempts to protect himself, he gets knocked out. Returned on the farm, Henry and Wyatt help Curry get dressed so he can go away. But Curry can slightly stroll, even much less trip a horse, so he tells them to go away while he stays at the back of finishing things. Wyatt desires to stay too and shield his domestic. However, Henry concurs with Curry and gets his son equipped to leave. Unluckily, after they make it outside, there is an uncongenial amazed waiting for them. Ketchum and Stillwell are returned with a group of hired weapons. Father and son get lower back inside as Ketchum gives them a deal. If they supply him Curry, he will allow them to leave without a scratch. Considering the fact that Henry refuses to just accept, Ketchum takes it a step in addition, and well-known shows they have captured Al, who is hurt and bleeding. Livid, Henry grabs his rifle and offers Wyatt the gun, telling him to live inner, away from the window, and to simplest shoot if it's surely vital. Ignoring Curry's pleas to be surpassed. Henry is going to confront Ketchum, who admits he isn't a sheriff, and is dying with curiosity to realize who Henry surely is. Ketchum offers to exchange Al for Curry, but Henry turns him down, and since neither he nor Al will display any secrets and techniques, Ketchum kills Al immediately. This triggers Wyatt into coming out and start capturing, so Henry drags him lower back interior as the gang retaliates, hitting Curry on the leg whilst he walks near the window. After scolding Wyatt for appearing without thinking, Henry tells him to maintain his head down. Listening to these words that enshape his dream, Curry subsequently puts and two together and realizes Henry's real identification is Billy the Kid. He failed to die the night time of the fireplace. He simply escaped. Henry will pay no attention to him, concentrating as an alternative on retrieving his antique gun and holster before going out of doors to begin shooting after only a few words. With implacable intention, Henry kills some gang contributors before going again to the house through the window, establishing a hole massive sufficient for Curry to shoot some men as properly. The remaining men are beginning to surround the house, so Henry grabs a knife and is going out through the return door. Silently sneaking around, he stabs criminals earlier than hiding underneath the residence to shoot a third. Then, he comes face to face with Stillwell, who tries to use his knife too. However, Henry kills him before he can even take a step. Now most effective, Ketchum is left. He is hidden in the back of the pig pen and manages to harm Henry on the shoulder, so Henry runs into the woods to make Ketchum comply with him. Both guys conceal in the back of trees as they trade photographs, but Henry is too desirable and manages to hit Ketchum on the leg and shoulder. Henry comes nearer then, and Ketchum manages to land one closing shot before Henry finishes him for desirable. The injuries aren't severe, although, in order quickly as he returns to the farm, Henry is going to Curry to help together with his very own injuries. While Henry tears off Curry's sleeve to take a higher examine his arm, he unearths a surprising wonder. Curry has the equal gang Mark Dugan had, and he shoots Henry for seeing it. Technically, Curry did not lie. He confesses he becomes certainly a sheriff, however a corrupt one. He and his deputies had labored with Ketchum before, but they heard Ketchum was planning to kill them at some point of their ultimate activity. So Curry attempted to break out, and that is the way it all started. Henry is agonizing, however no longer pretty dead yet, and Curry desires to be the only that killed Billy the Kid. But earlier than he can shoot, Wyatt arrives and kills him first. He wants to get a physician for his father, but Henry explains it's too overdue, so he needs to tell his son some remaining words before he's gone. Whilst Wyatt is going out to the International, he'll hear masses of memories about Billy the youngster, so Henry wishes him to recognize only half of them are actual. He admits no longer having been an awesome man or woman, and he would not consider in redemption. All this time, he's just been looking for a few solace in raising an awesome child. Henry does not think he has a vicinity on this new world, however he's positive Wyatt does. After crying over his father's death, Wyatt buries him next to his mother. Once he's emotionally geared up, he packs up his matters and leaves the farm on his horse to travel as he has always desired.